When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and we are finally in the fall season. I have to say, in Arizona, it's been really hot lately. We were in the hundreds through like mid-October, and it's finally starting to cool off where we are, now in Arizona, where I live. But I certainly haven't broken out with a jacket or boots or anything yet, which I really am looking forward to doing as the evenings are starting to cool down. So I know this is a time of year where all of us get really excited because the holidays are coming and there's so much family time. And we just got done doing this really awesome Cousin's Treasure Hunt movie that my husband put together with our daughter. And it was just so cute to watch the little kids on the red carpet, and they're all dressed up in their best. And it was so cute to see them get the little Oscars that we gave them. And then in addition to that, watch the movie for the first time that they did over the summer. So it was a long production time, not quite as long as Hollywood, which is usually 2 or 3 years, but long production time, several months that they waited. And it was a really fun night with cookies and pizza and just having them come off the red carpet. So if you have not seen that yet, be sure to jump over to my Instagram at Colleen Biggs or Facebook, and you'll be able to see a lot of the fun things that we've been doing starting the fall with going to pumpkin patches and all kinds of great entertainment. So I'd love to hear from you at info@colleenbiggs.net. Let me know what you're up to this holiday. And if there's any subjects and topics that you would really love to hear more on from an expert. We have Larisa Makuch here with us today. And I'm excited because I went back and I don't believe we've ever talked about self-imposed barriers as a podcast subject. We've talked a lot about self-imposed barriers throughout conversations that we've had, but today is the first time that is really going to be a subject for us. So think about this as you're listening to this podcast. What self-imposed barriers am I putting on myself that really are unnecessary, that aren't needed? And but before we get to Larisa, I'm really excited to say today's sponsor of today's show is Alley Spine Center. What sets our office apart from other offices is our focus and expertise in treating degenerative spinal conditions, including disc disease, bulging herniated discs, spinal stenosis, neuropathy, sciatica, pain, tingling, and numbness in the arms, hands, legs, and feet, as well as severe and chronic neck pain and headaches. They specialize in corrective care, not just the treatment of symptoms with physical medicine modalities. So in most cases, they take pre and post images that are used to help determine structural improvement of the spine. You can reach out to Alley Spine Center at 480-809-4700 and visit them at alleyspinecenter.com. If you do not live in Arizona and you suffer from any of these areas and conditions that I talked about today, please be sure to reach out to them at their phone number or online, and they will be sure to connect you with someone local in your area. It is a game changer. So you definitely want to reach out to them for that. Okay, let's get to Larisa today. And as we do, I'm putting on my glasses because I have a really tough time reading anything these days, Larisa. So Larisa Makuch, founder of Abundance Academy, empowers professional women to achieve their dreams with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Ooh, I love that. The 3 C's, while trading stress and overwhelm for a rich and fulfilling life of purpose. After working with her, Larisa's clients have leapt over the wall of inaction to double their income in 5 weeks, close 6 deals in a single afternoon, following 15 minutes of mentoring, and experience their highest income earning months over and over again. Her upcoming book, Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away, reflects her mission to positively impact more than 1 billion people across the globe. And in her downtime, she's about creating magic in the kitchen, tapping into nature in the cottage country. She's always living her best life. Hello, Larisa, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, this is interesting because where did the Abundance Academy come from? What did you at one point in your life have self-imposed barriers that you were putting on yourself in the past? And then that's kind of how it has now you kind of moved to the point where you needed to break through that wall. We all have a place where there was a pivotal moment in our life. Do you remember what that was? And tell us a little bit about your past.
Yeah. So I have a history of abuse. There was a big poverty mindset, and I remember growing up there was always seeds that were planted, and then there was these little pockets of pivotal moments. And there were it's almost like a heart monitor where it just goes tick 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 and then blip tick 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 blip tick 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 blip. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, and different levels of impact. But I remember I think there have always been some level of self-imposed beliefs, and those just came from childhood and from our youth. And when I first started, I think there was a level of ignorance. I just didn't know it could be any other way. And so I don't think I was trying to hurt myself. I don't think I was trying to sabotage myself or really do things to make my life unhappy or unfulfilling, but I just didn't know any better. I just thought that's how people lived. And I remember when I was in my first career many years ago, like over 20 years ago, it was financial services. And I got introduced to this world of personal growth and development. And all of a sudden, I heard people talking about having dreams and goals and good lives and really great relationships. And these are things I'd never even considered. And I think the seed was planted, but it almost seemed so far away from what was accessible to me at the time that the seed for the dream was planted, but I didn't actually pursue it at the time. And so often we have self-imposed barriers. They're kind of like a fence, right? If you're on a ranch, you're this little tiny person inside this big fence, and it can be a really big fence far away from you, or it can be close to you. But until you decide to cross over the fence and see what's on the other side, you're going to stay stuck. And so I had various different careers over the years, but I remember there were moments in that very early stage where I was just like, this is good. And I first stepped into personal growth and development. It was like a lifeline. It was just, I have to do this to survive. And I think for many years, I had coaching and seminars that I'd attended just to keep going. And then over time, it became more like drinking water. It was something I just can't not do. I have to have this a part of my life. Instead of something that just kept me going and surviving, it was something that helped me start to thrive. And it happened over a period of time. And I remember when it came to the Abundance Academy, I had a coaching company called Larisa Makuch Coaching. I remember I did not want to be a coach. It's the last thing I wanted to do. And I had a career in the mind-body movement. I was running a Pilates studio, a very large studio in our city, and it was great. People are happy. Generally, you go to work, people aren't upset. People want to be there. I had great staff, great clients, beautiful international teacher training program, so much variety in the work. We were growing something that mattered. And I was about to go back to work after my maternity leave. And my husband and I were watching personal growth development seminar. And he stood up and he said, Larisa, there was just an opportunity and you said that was cool. But if you keep doing what you're currently doing, are you going to get to where you need to be? And he's not the kind of guy that stands up and towers over me. And that moment, I was like, wow, you're seeing something I'm obviously not. I better listen. Because he doesn't speak up like that on a regular basis. But when he speaks up, those are the moments I need to start paying attention. And I wanted to say yes. I was earning great money. I loved what I did. I loved it with my heart. but I couldn't say yes. And so that was the moment I knew I needed to make a shift. And I started a consulting company, a coaching company. And then over time, I went in ready, fire, aim, no plan, no plan. Not the best way to start a business, but I think once your heart is out of something and you
Yeah.
truly can't keep going, you've got to take the leap, just like you encourage your listeners to. And I'm grateful I did. Over time, it turned into Abundance Academy. I'm like, I'm putting my name on it. I don't know what else to start with. So let's just start helping people. Let's start serving people and let's see where this goes. I trained other people's programs in the beginning and then found my own voice over time. And it just turned into this really natural and organic thing. So I think the husband shaking his finger going, Larisa, wake up, was a really beautiful moment because it's when so many pieces of the pie started to come together, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't have recognized it until just more recently.
Yeah, you had your own self-imposed barriers that you didn't even realize you had put on yourself. But wow, what a moment for you to make the decision from something that you've built and loved, but it wasn't going to get you eventually or the end result of where you wanted to be. And I think that is a beautiful note for the listeners today, is what you're doing today going to give you the result of where you want to be as your goals are progressing and where you see yourself in the future. That's a question we should always be asking ourselves. What do I want? And I love that you said you were surviving and you wanted to thrive and you learned about thriving through personal development. I had the exact same experience. I even was like wearing a badge of honor of survival. People would tell me, "Oh man, you're such a survivor." And I'm like, "I am." So happy. And then when I learned about thriving, I'm like, screw this surviving thing. I want to thrive. What does that look like? And then when you put your mind to it and decide you want to do it, it's amazing how easy it can be, and the doors open, and people just start aligning in your path that need to be there. Have you experienced that with your Abundance Academy and now writing your book, Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away? Have you seen kind of all of these individuals align perfectly where they needed to be for you to complete those tasks?
Yeah, I think the alignment is always there. And one of my favorite quotes by Steve Jobs is, you can't connect the dots looking forwards, you can only connect them looking backwards. However, as you move forward, you've got to have faith that the dots will connect.
Mm,
And so often we're trying to predict the future. And looking back, I always had the opportunities. I always had the stars align. However, when I didn't recognize it, it was like I had blinders on. And until I took off the blinders, I didn't see the magic that was in front of me. I didn't see the opportunities. It's a matter of perspective, right? They had
mhm.
always been there. But until I really stepped into this work and not pretended to do it and not just went through the motions of doing it, but actually did it. And I think this is something that you probably see a lot. You work with really successful women. They're in action mode. They're doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it. But they're so detached from
Mhm.
themselves. They're so detached from reality. And I'm not saying go meditate for 6 weeks at a time and become a monk, but I'm saying, like, just take those moments to really connect with yourself, to connect with your truth, to be honest, and listen to the whispers. I think intuition has a really big part to play because the signs
Yeah.
are always there. But if you don't turn your listening ears on, like, I've worked with a lot of kids, I love working with kids, but turn your listening ears on. I mean, I do this with my grown-ups. It looks ridiculous, but I do it to remind myself. It's like, wake up, because if we don't start listening, we won't be able to create the magic that is planted in us, that is handed to us on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And the
Why
stars really do align.
why do would you why do you think, or in your experience, let's say working with your clients, the self-imposed barriers, why are they there?
Yeah. Um, I think part of it is conditioning. Like they like me, I didn't know any different. It's just
Yeah.
the way it's always been. So how can it be different? And especially when we get new clients, they're like, oh my gosh, like their world opens up because they are taught what to think, not how to think. And that's what
They're
I
taught
was
like
taught.
this is who you are. And so you don't see yourself any different than that. And
No.
other people or what other people have is something that you would never have because that's not who you are because you weren't taught that that
Yeah.
is a possibility. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
They're
understand.
lucky. They're
Yeah.
lucky because it's them.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
those opportunities. And
Yeah.
until you consider it, and I like to play games. I like to play a lot of games because when we step into this game mode, it allows us to be more like kids. It takes the pressure of perfection off. It takes the pressure of being right or wrong off. So it's like, let's play the what if game. Well, what if I could do it? What if this was a goal? You don't even have to step into it. You don't have to
Mhm.
adopt it. You don't have to say, I'm going to be committed. Like, don't commit on day one. That's the dumbest thing you can do when you've never committed to anything in your life. But play the what if game. Just be like, if I did commit to this, what could happen? And it's an entry point. And I love little entry points because they let you step into the possibility of what could be without feeling the pressure. And as you entertain those possibilities, it's almost like you're dancing with the possibility. You're dancing with the possibility. You're dancing with the possibility. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden you go, I think I'd really like this. And then you can commit from your heart. You can commit with your whole body instead of trying to commit and just put all this pressure on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's going to be things you won't want to do. There's going to be things that are hard, but you can commit wholeheartedly instead of in a fragmented way.
I remember I was at a coaching conference or something many years ago, and they had asked me to speak with the individuals in the room about real estate investing. And I had just gotten into some real estate investing. So I started talking to them about how easy it is to get into it and the entry level and what the positives are. And almost every person in the room came right back at me with the self-imposed barriers, I'm going to say, and it was all negative. And the what ifs weren't positive what ifs, Larissa. It was, well, what if they don't pay, or what if you can't have this done, or what if you have to evict them, or what if this doesn't work? And I couldn't believe the negativity. And I just turned it around. I said, well, since we just did what ifs of about 12 negatives, let's talk about what if for the positives. And then I just went through the what ifs for the positives because I was shocked that their minds all went to why it wouldn't work. In
Mhm.
my mind, it stayed in the why it's going to work and why sometimes we need to take a leap of faith because most of the time it's going to work out versus all of the fear and the negativity we build up and create in our minds, only about a half a percent of that could actually, happen or does happen. The rest of it is what we would call for this episode self-imposed barriers that we create for ourselves that are unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, and I love that. I love that. They need to listen to your podcast and then they'll start having better perspectives.
Yes.
And what you focus on expands. That's a second thing, right? The first one is
Yeah.
conditioning, but the second thing is focus. Like ultimately what you do focus on expands. Focus on the good, you get more good. Focus on the bad and you're going to attract it. And I mean, there's the law of attraction. It works in
Yeah.
both ways. Unfortunately, most people are doing it mindlessly and getting things they don't want. Why? They're watching the news, they're gossiping with their friends, they're complaining about everything that's going wrong in the world instead of focusing on what's right. And I remember a few years ago, Bob Proctor, one of my mentors, he
Yeah.
had a series that he called Good News. And we used to call CNN constant negative news. And he's like, I want to give good news to the world. And I thought that was really beautiful because if we spread more messages of positivity, right? You're
Yeah.
here putting it on the line. Most of the people on in your communities have had some kind of tragedy, triumphs, drama, trauma, something.
Sure.
And you mention it, but there's always another side to the story. And you
Yeah.
spend so much more time focusing on the possibilities of what could be. And this is what we do at the Abundance Academy. This is what these are the people I spend time with. We sprinkle fairy dust on people and spread our positivity. It's okay. We live in bubbles because when you live in this world, you just attract more. You start to see more of that. It's not
Hmm.
that bad things don't happen. They just don't affect you. And the bounce back rate is so much faster. I have clients that have some really difficult things happening in their lives, but instead of being taken out for a month or 6 months or 2 years, they're like, I had a really bad day. I was out for a day or two, or maybe even an hour. And then they get back up and they get going. They keep moving forward. And that's the thing. You
Yeah.
focus on what you want and you keep moving forward.
I love that you gave the permission in that way because many people think they can't have a bad day, that there's too much pressure to perform, especially if you're a business owner, that your business can't withstand you being out for a day. Well, if you're having a bad day and there's days where I'm off and I will tell my husband, and most people don't see that side of me, and they're like, what? You had a bad day? That's impossible. It's like, I don't know what it was. I was just off that day and it felt really weird. And so I just kind of gave myself some grace and didn't push myself as hard as I normally do. And then that was really all I needed to, like, just the next day was fine. And I think we can give ourselves the grace that we need. There are times where I'll tell my husband, I need a break. I need a break from work because we own 4 businesses. So whenever we're talking, it's pretty much all about business or kids or, and sometimes it's
Mhm.
constant and I need a break. Like, I need
Yeah.
some downtime, and I'll tell him we need to get away this weekend, or I'm not going to do anything this Saturday, or something that just gives me a break. And I love to go to places like, I don't know if they have them throughout the United States, but in my state they have these kind of rest and restore places called Reset, where you can go in cold plunging and infrared saunas and red light therapy and compression and jacuzzis. And I love to just spend like 2 hours at a place like that. And I'm completely reset from that. That's like all just marinating in self care for me. And that's what I do and I need on a regular basis. So I think we all need to figure out, what is it that we need that helps keep us balanced, to keep us away from these self-imposed barriers that we're putting on ourselves. And you talked a little bit about it in your Abundance Academy. So how can someone find out more about the Abundance Academy? Where do they go? We have some links below, but I would love to learn more.
Yeah, actually, my book is out. Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away. It is out.
Great.
I think the bio was a little bit
I
dated.
love it. That's
So it
beautiful.
it came out. I'm so happy, but essentially the whole premise is keep moving forward. So if you want to learn more about me, you can go to myabundanceacademy.ca. But if you want a downloadable copy of the book, then I'll put a link in the chat. It's myabundanceacademy.ca/book.
Okay.
So my website /book, and you can access a free copy. We wanted to give them away, not just the first chapter, because we want people to have access to
Yeah.
this information. I think the more people have the courage to keep moving forward and taking the next step, then the better the world is going to be. It's about making the world a better place.
I love that. And in the book, why did you write about stop procrastinating?
There was a moment. So I had just become a consultant with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. So I started working with Bob Proctor and his philosophies. And I was at a lunch, and there was a woman telling me about a story. And she said a line, and I'll never forget this. And she was just telling me about an interaction she had. And it's with this man that's putting things off and putting things off and putting off a decision. And she said, oh, let me get this. I want to get it. When the lights are green across town, then you'll stop procrastinating. Yep, maybe that's it. And she said, oh my gosh, I can't find it today. The one page that. So when this set of circumstances ends, guess what happens? Another set of circumstances will come up, and another one and another one. And what's happening is you're procrastinating your life away. And procrastination is suicide of your dreams on the installment plan. Little by little, they disappear. Your dreams disappear. It escapes you. Has that been a pattern in your life? And she was saying this about this interaction she had, and all I could think of was going, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me. That's me. I almost fell off my chair because there were so many dreams I'd had, and I ignored them because I didn't know how. I just ignored them because it wasn't the right time. I
Yeah.
ignored them. And I feel a lot of people have that because they just get busy taking care of their families. They get busy growing their businesses or going to work. They get busy doing whatever. There's too many opportunities these days. And the more we can start tuning into ourselves and what our actual desires are, not your mother's desires, not your grandma's desires, not your kids' desires, not your husband's desires, not everyone else's desires for you, but your own desires, and moving forward in that direction, your life is never going to be complete. And so I really want to give women the permission to live their life their way.
I love that, giving them
Mhm.
permission to live their life that way. We have all of Larissa's links below, so please make sure that you start following her on Instagram and Facebook and connect with her and DM with her on LinkedIn. We also have stopprocrastinatingbook.com, and we also have myabundanceacademy.com down there. So make sure you guys click on all those links and grab a free copy downloadable of her book as well. And Larisa, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing so much about the Abundance Academy and why. Well, I think the reason why behind of why we put the self-imposed barriers on ourselves. And today, I hope one person listening will say, I'm done. I'm done with the self-imposed barriers. I'm ready. I don't know how, because you don't need to know how, but I'm ready to make some changes in my life in the future. And I'm just going to take that first step today. Just take the first step and go follow Larisa on social media or connect with her on her website. That's like a good first step to take. And I just want to remind our listeners, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. This is it. This is your life. Do not live your life in regret. The number one thing everyone says when they get to the end of their lifetime is, I regret not doing XXX. Please don't be that person. Live your life to the abundance of how you want to live it today. Nobody else is going to give you the permission. You need to give yourself that permission to make that happen for yourself today. So thank you, Larisa, for being here with our listeners. Thank you, listeners, for being so loyal and being with us for so many years. And until next time, don't forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.